And welcome everybody to episode 40 of the Breakfast Burrito here on YSN. It was an unbelievably great weekend. We hope you had one too, but it's Monday and we got to get that week kick-started. And there's no better way to get it kick-started than with the tremendous trio. Myself, DJ Yoakley, alongside my broadcast partners, Mr. Thomas Q. Pease Jr. the third. And then everybody knows this guy. I don't even need to introduce him. He is the squeaky bandito. He is Eric McMahon. Boys, what's going on?
It's another beautiful Monday morning here in the great city of East Liverpool.
Skies are gray. And
yeah, it's
wet stuff falling, right?
It's 39 degrees. It's raining, but at least we're not in Minnesota because they got 18 inches of snow in 24 hours.
Oh, it's coming, guys. Just be careful what you wish for. Everybody was complaining. Here's the thing. Let's start off with this. A great tournament this weekend, the EPYSA Early Bird Tournament at Next Level Complex in New Waterford, held by Jim Vance. The weather was beautiful, absolutely beautiful on Saturday. And I actually heard people complaining about it being too hot. And I gave them dirty looks because that's all I can shoot at them, obviously. But I mean, are we a society that just complains about everything? Is that what we were turning into? Because
yes,
it was gorgeous on Saturday.
Yeah, I agree with Eric. It's a simple answer. It's yes, 100% yes. We are a complaining society. We are not very easily pleasable, but we are very easily unpleasable.
Well, it was very funny because I thought that, it was kind of one of those things where God gave us a little bone on Saturday and there wasn't enough appreciation for it. So he gave us Sunday, which was a complete train wreck of slop and rain and ice cold. I woke up in the morning and as you guys know, we were doing the broadcast out there at the Early Bird Tournament, and it said it was going to be 70 degrees. So I was like, oh, yeah, let's put on some shorts, slap those on, and a hoodie because it's going to be cold in the morning, and then let's go to work. And it was freezing cold until about 2 o'clock. It was fun, though. I mean, for me, it was a great time. But, yeah, I can't believe there's people already complaining about how hot it was, and it wasn't even – what did it get to, 74? I mean, that's beautiful weather.
Yeah, I thought Saturday was just absolutely perfect.
So, all right.
Absolutely perfect.
We had the tournament this weekend. Tommy, one of your teams was out there. How did you think the tournament went for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't satisfied with the way it ended, but I mean, I thought all in all we did okay. I mean, we're going to see, a lot better competition as the year moves forward, but it was our first time, actually our only second time total outside all year. And it was our game. It was a game. So, there's a lot of things we got to work on, and there's a lot of things we didn't cover, in early parts of the spring or in the winter here, like bunt coverages or first and third place. We talked about that yesterday. But yeah, all in all, I mean, I was pleased with how we did. Listen, we started out last year. Last year was the first year we tried to do this, travel baseball type atmosphere here in East Liverpool, and we started out the season 0-9 and ended up finishing 13-19. So it took us a while to get started. So the fact that we got 3 wins over the weekend and 1 loss, it makes me happy that we don't start slow, or we didn't start slow for the season, and we got a lot of stuff we can build on. So it was all right. Yeah, I think the place is going to be beautiful out there in East Palestine. So, hats off to Jim Vance. He's in a great location to capitalize on, a lot of travel baseball or a lot of baseball tournaments, sitting, in between Youngstown, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, even south of us, Steubenville areas too, Youngstown. So yeah, I think it's going to be a nice place for Mr. Vance, and we're going to come back to just about anything he has there this year. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we thought it went really well. I think there was a total of 24 teams or something like that between the 8U, 10U, and 12U kind of categories. And you guys, I mean, you kind of, I don't want to say you stepped on a lot of toes, but I think you guys came in looking like you were ball players, and it intimidated a lot of the teams, especially the ones at this tournament. I mean, does that, when you're building something like this, Tommy, is that something you look towards, like look good, play good, feel good, and intimidate the others by having the 6 jerseys and looking at the same bat bags and stuff like that? Does that go through your mind?
Well, I mean, there's organizations all over the valley, all up north your way too, that do have travel baseball, and one of the key components that go along with that is you get to you're dressed from your head to your toes in good gear, and you look the part, and that's what we try to do. I mean, we have we have pretty strict practices. We run a regimen. I mean, I still understand that these kids are 12 years old, but I always tell them when we get inside the fences, it's all business, and we want them to look good and we want them to play good, and we try to teach disciplined baseball and head smart baseball, because as we both know, baseball is in my opinion about 90% upstairs in the head. It's a thinking man's game. There's no doubt about it. So yeah, we always try to look our best. We got like 4 sets of uniforms, 3 hats, a couple bat bags. I mean, yeah, we're definitely laid out. But at the end of the day, you still got to perform on the field. And as you've seen yesterday in our second game, we did not bring it, and we paid the price. So
you might be the best person to ask about this question. Talk to me about the difference you think there is between community baseball and travel ball.
I mean, for me, it's one word. It's dedication. Listen, I never played travel baseball growing up, but fortunately for me, the complex out at where Beaver Localist sits now was in full force when I was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. So we had rec ball teams with a lot of talent. There was up to 12 teams in a league, in just a local recreational baseball league. So in today's world, you don't see that. You don't see a lot of kids playing baseball, especially in our area. So it makes it hard to develop, a baseball team with 9 kids that can fundamentally play the game and got good hand-eye coordination, can catch, throw, because baseball's different. I tell everybody that baseball's different. Some of the best athletes in the world, if you gave them a baseball bat and a baseball, they would look ridiculous when they throw it, and they look ridiculous when they swing it. So it's just, it's kind of, it's a special sport. So anyway, back to your question. Yes, we do our best to look good, play good, and most of the time it works in our advantage because, like you do say, it has a little intimidation factor. We warm up as a team, we're loud as a team, we look good as a team, and sometimes that works in our advantage. So that's what we do.
Do you think there's advantages to playing community baseball against travel and vice versa?
For me, it just comes down to quality baseball. I mean, I don't think it's different in the way you're still playing baseball, but it comes down to quality baseball. What you see on travel baseball teams are better pitching, kids that can hit locations. They might have some good off-speed pitches even at young ages, and they're dedicated to the sport. So they're not just picking up a baseball bat and a baseball glove in late March and going and playing for a few months with their buddies. They're dedicated to the sport. In the wintertime, they're in the cages, they're hitting. If they're pitchers, they're throwing. Bullpen sessions during the winter, they're working on hitting spots, their locations. They're trying to develop a more powerful swing if you're a hitter, tap load, or something it's going to make you a better baseball player. And that's the only difference between travel baseball and recreational baseball, is just the dedication to the sport. And they don't just work on it and play it for 2 months out of the year. They're working on their skills all year long.
No, I love it. And you can tell the difference, obviously, between community and travel. And I've known this for a long time. I think you and I have talked about it at length. We played ball. We understand it. We understand the difference and the dedication that it takes to be that next level baseball player. No pun intended, Jim Vance. But being able to take that next step. And you can see the difference, and it's obvious. And it's I'm sure it's frustrating for, when a travel ball team or a team that's dedicated plays a team that just picked it up, like you said, in late March, and trying to get back to your fundamentals, just kind of trying to go through the A's, B's, and C's when you guys are towards the back end of the alphabet and probably into the numerics, where you're at. So I think it was a great tournament. It was a great exposure opportunity for some of these teams to understand, number one, where they are, where the bar is, because I think that some feel that they dress nice, they look nice, but in reality, when you go and you show up and you get your doors blown off, then you have to understand that it's more about playing the game right and understanding the fundamentals of the game and the dedication that it takes. And it's the same way in every sport. And I'm thinking that Squeaky can attest to this with with football and basketball. If you're dribbling a basketball for the first time in 9 months, you're not going to be able to hold court with somebody who's been playing AAU all year round. Squeaks, you want to chime in on this?
Yeah, I mean, you're not just going to show up in August, pick up a football, not having trained for 9 months, and I can play. It's not going to happen. You didn't train.
And I think the same thing goes into the weight room, correct?
Yeah, that's part of it. You didn't train. You didn't get your body right for it. You didn't get your body right to take all the hits.
So I think it all boils down to, I mean, and the thing about baseball is it's so parent oriented, and we're going to get into the parents coaching. We talked about it a little bit at length a few weeks ago, but talk about the coaches versus umpires and kind of that dynamic. The one thing that I saw that this it's an epidemic and it's getting worse. And I don't mean to point out any parents, and I'm not going to, but if this sounds like you're guilty, maybe that you should kind of, take a check on where you're at and kind of understanding your role in all of this is when you are on the sidelines and you're not wearing the coach's uniform, you're not wearing the colors, you're not a part of the team. You have to understand that you should not be coaching your kid in that game from the stands, from the chairs, from the sidelines. You should not be standing on the fence and coaching your kid over top of the coach that is putting in the dedication and the hours. I'm sorry. I understand it's probably frustrating if your kid's not successful, but the biggest thing is you got to let the coach do their job. Once you're on that field, once you're at the facility, it's the coach's time to instruct your kid. Once you leave, it's your kid, right? It's your kid all the time. But essentially, you got to let the coach do their job. And I think it's a disrespectful thing when parents take their kid out of the dugout, or parents are sitting by the dugout and trying to have those conversations. And Tommy, you can completely educate me if I'm wrong, but my personal opinion is if you're not part of that team, if you're not putting the time in and the willing to put the time and effort in during those practices, you should not be able to put the time in when it's game time. Like, your kid needs to be focused up and should not be looking over for your approval as a parent during that game unless you're wearing those coaching colors.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it's just as hard as for the kids as it is the parent to not do that. If you have a parent who sits there and minds their P's and Q's and doesn't go into the dugout and sits in their chair and enjoys the game and enjoys watching their child, the parent's still there, and these are 11 and 12-year-old kids and younger, so therefore they're always going to look to their parents for approval. And I'm not a guy who really jumps all over the place about parents being super involved. I mean, I like to run station heavy practices. I like to have kids do a lot of different things at a lot of different times. And it's a commitment for myself. I mean, especially with high school baseball, to be able to be there. So I need other coaches who are dads. I need other parents also there to be able to give these kids the absolute best practice we can. And since I do that, I can't go ahead on game day and tell these people, hey, out of the dugout, or, hey, don't get involved with your child during the game. Now, of course, there's a line you can cross. And if they cross the line, there'll be a conversation that's going to happen, especially if they're creating turmoil amongst the team or they're creating turmoil for their child. But at the end of the day, my son plays on that team and I get to enjoy it and watch it. And, it's actually made our relationship better because when I first started coaching, I was probably a little harder on him than I needed to be. And he noticed that, and it made him uncomfortable. But as I continued to coach him and watch him grow, I knew that, quiet coaching was the best thing for him because he is naturally talented. He doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. And if he does, he doesn't need to be blown up in front of all the players in their parents. And he just needs to be told in private what he did wrong. And hopefully he can, he makes the adjustments and does the right thing moving forward. But yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I do agree to a point. But in my situation, I don't try to, limit, what I want or want to hear from the parents during the game. Like I said, there's a fine line they can cross, but until they do that, I'm pretty pretty easygoing about it.
No, I can appreciate that, and I definitely can, because I think that in your situation, I think there's an understanding. You know what I mean? I think that I guess it's probably more in the community baseball aspect is parents trying to get involved, and the thing is like, I understand parents got to work, and not everybody can put the time in and effort that we do, or any coaches do to their kids all the time. But I guess I should kind of amend what I said is, when the coach is coaching, a parent should not be able to grab their kid, take them out of the dugout, and re-coach or re-educate what the coach is emphasizing. That's probably my biggest point is kind of going rogue, I guess, is the best terminology for it. It's baseball is such a team sport. I realize that it's one-on-one when it's a batter versus a pitcher, but it's such a team sport in the sense that, that kid should be in the dugout, especially at these ages, having fun with their kids. And I'm really appreciative of the fact that, you could take Cohen and really learn kind of as you go too as a parent. But I think some parents are so stuck in their ways that it's their way or no way. And, like if a play, and we're going to talk about it here in about 2 minutes, but if a play like yesterday happens and it's a coach or it's a parent blowing up on the sidelines or blowing up from the stands, it's a problem. It's a problem. We had at that tournament yesterday, we had a coach that was ejected for dropping profanities numerous times, and I believe a member of his family was ejected as well off the premises. And they were a strike away from winning, as it was told to me. Sometimes I just think parents take this too seriously. I believe it was a 10U baseball game that was one strike away from being over, and they were in the lead. And you got to take a deep breath. You got to take a deep breath, because it's not about you becoming the next Tommy Lasorda or you becoming the next, anybody. I mean, name a coach, John Madden. It's about the kids learning the game the right way, and win or lose, best case scenario, you get a trophy. Worst case scenario, you had some fun and played baseball on a beautiful day. So that's where I'm at. So that sets the stage for kind of what happened yesterday. So I will paint the picture, and I will start firstly by saying that you were absolutely right. You were absolutely right. And I will kind of compliment that and say that there was a play at first. It was your son involved, and he was safe, but he was called out by the first base umpire, and we had a little bit of a meltdown.
Am I on the stand right now? Do I get to justify myself?
Go for it, man. You have all the time you need.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is kangaroo court.
Yeah, okay. All right. So here you go. Let's start. Let's back up a little bit. First of all, we come out in the first inning, and our starting pitcher shuts them down 1-2-3. They do the same to us 1-2-3. In the second inning, our pitcher gets into some struggles, having trouble hitting his spots. He's walking a few batters, and then they drive a few balls to the gap, and the wheels just fall off everything. And we had given up 5 runs the entire tournament, and they wrote off 7 runs in that inning. So we come back up again, and we do nothing. So the next inning, we hold them. It's still 7-0. And we are at the top of our order. So this is go time for us. I mean, like, if we don't make a run at this or put a few runs on the board to chop it down to make them get a little nervous, we're in trouble. So top of the order, Cohen comes up. I tell him beforehand, hey, listen, we got to drive the baseball here. Like, we got to get you on base. You got to get on base. So he comes up, rips one to the shortstop, hard hit ball. Shortstop fields it. He's pretty quick, going down the line. I'm over at third base coaching. Cohen goes, in my view, like, I'm seeing the throw coming to first base. Cohen is through the bag, past the bag, and the kid catches the ball, and the umpire calls him safe, like you said. Now, first things first.
Umpire calls him out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, umpire calls him out. Sorry. So umpire calls him out. So first things first, the call's wrong, and I know it. 2, the guy that's umpiring first base is a high school umpire. I've had him multiple times in Potter games. He did our game at Niles against Beaver Local last year at the Eastwood Field there. So anyway, he's a good umpire. Number one, if you look at the picture I sent you, he's out of position. He's not even in the proper position to make that call. And two, I took it as this is probably the only chance I'm going to get to try to fire my kids up. So I'm going to go across the diamond. I'm not going to cuss or make a scene, but I'm going to let him know that I'm not happy with the call. And I'm mainly not happy because he's a good umpire, and he should be better than that. I don't care if it's high school or 4-year-olds. If you're umpiring a baseball game, take pride in it and get into the right position and make the right call, because he knows he missed that call. Trust me. Anyway, that's my side of the story.
So,
and the only thing I said was, "Oh hell no," after he called him out.
Stone Cold Tommy Pease.
Yes.
Oh hell no.
Yes.
He says, "Oh hell no!" And the funny thing is you can see it on YSN. The game was broadcast, and Tom, you were absolutely right. I had my doubt, but I was in a bad position because I'm sitting there watching.
Oh yeah, you said bang. You said bang bang. He's out. Oh, trust me. First thing I did when I got home, and you sent me the video, is I scrubbed all the way over to the 42-minute and 38-second mark. If anybody wants the timestamp there, or the 42-minute mark, and yeah, I wanted to see. First of all, I wanted to make sure you couldn't hear me say "Oh hell no," because I didn't yell it loud. I think I more or less said it to like the pulling dugout, like "Oh hell no," and then marched across the field. So. A couple of my buddies that I coach with at the high school, they were mad because I told them about it, and I said, you guys are going to laugh at what I did. And then I sent them the video, and they were mad that I didn't kick dirt or something like that. But
I mean, you held your own. I got to admit, you held your own, and you had everything to really, you had all the backup. And one of the coaches, it was funny, one of the coaches came over and said, can we replay that? And I said, I think you could hear me on the broadcast saying, no, you can't, because we don't have the replay capability yet. But you can live the rest of your life knowing that you were right, Mr. Pease.
Yep. Yeah. I'll if anybody wants to see the picture, just let me know. I'll send it over.
Yeah, you sent me over 2 of them, so I appreciate that. Well,
but listen, you know what? If he was in the right position, he makes the right call. But it was just from third base. I mean, I'm following that ball over there.
Yeah.
When I'm coaching over there, I see that ball coming, and then when I see him catch it, and he's through the bag. I mean, I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So yeah, I try to keep my cool. I'm not really a hothead coach.
You seem like you're pretty chilled about things. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're over there. You're talking to people, and it's one of those tournaments. Like I said before, it's the early bird tournament. You're discussing things, and you're just trying to get the feel out for new coaches and new players, and really. Worst case scenario, Tom, if you lose in the championship or you lose in the tournament, it's no big deal. I mean, it wasn't a whole lot of money to get into it. And I understand, I'm nobody to say that, what's a lot of money. But reality is this, even if you win the championship, you just get a trophy that's going to collect dust. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where right. and the tournament got rained out for all intents and purposes anyway, just a couple hours later. So right. It was for me, it was cool to watch you do what you do. For me, it was cool to kind of see how everything's going to transpire at this facility that's going to be gorgeous, going to be beautiful, and watching because the game that happened behind me, that the coach got ejected, and the I guess I don't know if it was a mother-in-law, what it was that got ejected. That was kind of, I was piecing stuff together after the game with the team. And they said, yeah, I guess the coach came up to one of the guys that's responsible for the field maintenance and said, hey, I feel bad. I probably lost my cool. And I guess his kid's 9 or 10, obviously, if he's in 10U. And you got a long way to go. I mean, you got 9 or 8 or 9 more years to go before your kid's done playing baseball. Take a chill. Take a breath. You're going to have to kind of keep your composure around these games. I know it's hard, especially when your kid's involved, but take a deep breath.
Sometimes the parents are more competitive than the player.
Yeah, absolutely.
They really are. And then, you know what? And then that means that the coach isn't doing a good job. I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah,
if you can't get your players to play and your parents are more excited about the games than your kids are, then, you got issues.
Yeah, there needs to be a flip-flop role there. And
right.
And for the most part, I would say 98% of the time during this tournament, it was all smiles, and even when kids lost, it was. And that's what it's about at this point. You know, it's the 14th and 15th of April in Northeast Ohio. You're out there, you're playing. That's a win by itself. So it was really cool to see it, and all the kids playing each other, and lots of good sports. So it was neat to see. But we'll move on from this because we're about half hour in already. But I thank you so much for kind of sharing with us. And I know it's a tough spot for you to be in, kind of being on both sides of the fence. But all right, we have breaking news here, and this is huge. And we're going to lean on the Squeaky Bandito for this one because he's going to love this. John Cena and Nikki Bella, broken engagement. Squeaky, you get the floor, my friend.
Is this rule number 69, John Cena's house rules, get out?
She must have worn tennis shoes in the house.
Right.
I mean, does it frustrate you, Squeaks? Is that something because they made such a big thing of it, for the past year and a half?
I think they've made a big thing of it for the last 5 years because they have their own reality show.
That's true. Do you think
will the breakup be on the reality show? Is the question?
I believe it is. Do you think
this is going to be a kind of a hook for viewership for the next season?
I do think so. Yes. Yep.
Do you think it's real or do you think it's a work?
I think it's real.
I think it's interesting. I
do think it's interesting. I really do.
John Cena's Instagram. Did you guys see it?
No, I seen him post something on Twitter though.
About was it the Simpsons comic book guy and said worst day ever.
Eric mentioned the Miz skit, rule number 59 or whatever it was. I almost feel like that is John Cena.
It is
in a way. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It is, and they made it's actually real. Like John Cena has house rules. It's a real thing. It wasn't Miz used it as a Saturday Night Live skit, basically, but it's a real thing that JC has some rules in his house to live by. So we're all on the same boat here. We think that it's real, but we think that obviously WWE is going to trump it up to get some ratings for either the reality show or for next year's WrestleMania. Maybe they'll wrestle each other.
Wouldn't that be something?
Great. That'd be great.
We'll move it on. Some sad news in Hollywood and in the world. Arlie Ermy passes away. You might recognize him from movies such as Saving Silverman was my favorite, and or somebody help me out. I'm drawing a blank.
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. Thank you. Yes. He was the gunny, as people say, a real life Marine, a real life hero, turned into a hero on the screen. So our condolences there. What do you got? I mean, Full Metal Jacket obviously is what comes to mind with most people, except me, obviously, because I blanked on that one. But for me, Saving Silverman was his coup de grace, was his number one movie, because without him in that movie, it's completely different and kind of not aimless, but he made that movie for me.
Well, that movie made him, really. I mean,
I think so. I think it gave him a different look.
I would say so. I mean, what he played in it, I would say so. Because I remembered him as playing every cop in the world or every hard guy or a gunnery sergeant, but he played the gym teacher that you questioned all the way through and you didn't question it at the end.
He was hilarious. So our condolences out there. I mean, that's huge news in the entertainment industry. Also huge news on the field, James Harrison, the longtime Steeler, short-time Patriot, announces his retirement. And there's Steelers fans going nuts on both sides of the coin saying, well, he should have retired a Steeler like he did the first time. And there's Patriots fans saying that they got the short end of the stick because they got the James Harrison that wasn't so good. To my reply is, what did you expect?
Yeah, if he wasn't playing for the Steelers, I mean, play good enough to get on the field for the Steelers. Why do they think they were going to get something any different, in New England? He did have a couple good games for them, though. But you know what? I'm on the side of the fence. Shame on James Harrison. He should have just manned up and realized that he's past his prime and retired a Steeler. And, his legacy would have went down a lot cleaner and a lot better than what it's going to. So, shame on James Harrison. I wish he would have done the right thing in the get-go, but unfortunately he didn't. So he's going to retire as a Patriot, which is ridiculous.
Squeaks?
Kind of on the fence on this because probably should have retired a lot sooner than what he did. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's, 40 now?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
And 40-year-olds, for the most part, don't look like that.
So I guess that begs a bigger question. Are you going to remember James Harrison more for the football player or for the workouts?
I'll remember James Harrison for this exact season right here. Anytime I think of James Harrison for the rest of my life, I'm going to think about this season and the meltdown he had and how he got cut and how the Patriots picked him up. I mean, that's the memory that's going to stick in my head for James Harrison.
Really?
Yeah, it is. It's a joke.
I mean, when somebody says James Harrison, the first memory pops up is obviously his interception in the Super Bowl. And as much as I want it to be what you're at, Tommy, I can't do it for some reason. It's just I like the memory. I choose to remember James Harrison in the way that he raised us up as opposed to the way that he put us down. Because not only did he put us down by going to the Patriots after he was cut and released, but he actually had interviews where he put down the organization. The Steelers organization that made him who he is, he puts it down. So even though I can't get that, the vision of him, and kind of, I don't know if you guys ever saw the Saturday Night Live skit with Keenan Mitchell where he was trying to be James Harrison. He had the oxygen tank. But that's the one I'll always remember. But his workouts are legendary, and that's great. But reality is Father Time catches up with us all, and he's done exactly that. And like we talked about before the show started, I think this is more of a red flag for the Patriots than it is for James Harrison, because Harrison wants to win another title. He wants to rub it in the Steelers' face. He wants to rub it in the world's face because he's a chip on the shoulder guy. And if he doesn't think that the Patriots can win a title, he's retiring. And here we are. So do you think this says more about James Harrison or more about the New England Patriots this year?
I mean, talking to you earlier, you mentioned that, it might be a sign that, Harrison could have had conversations with Gronk, and Gronk says he ain't coming back, and that was maybe enough for Harrison to, to be done. So
yeah, I think there's bigger fish that are coming.
Yeah, could be the fall of the empire.
Oh, would that be beautiful? It'd be beautiful.
I don't think Gronk cares. I don't think Gronk cares if he comes back because he's got another career lined up already.
WWE.
Oh yeah, he's got another career lined up already because he is a character.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you.
They don't need him. They don't need to make him a character. He is one.
Oh, and he can go be one of those part-timers for Vince McMahon or whoever's running the show, Triple H, and he'll draw tickets. That's easy money. All right, so Harrison's out. You know who else might be out if they don't keep their head on a swivel is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Guys, the Cavs seem to have it all together towards the end of the stretch here in the regular season, and here we are. Game 1, and they lose almost by 20. Are you nervous for King James and the crew over there in Cleveland against these Pacers?
LeBron James versus the world.
You still taking LeBron?
Yeah, you heard him last night. I was down 3-1 in the finals. I ain't sweating it.
Squeaky, what's your assessment on going down 1-0?
He should sweat it because their team's full of a bunch of crap other than him.
I feel like we say that about every team LeBron's on.
I think it's even more so this year. He don't got Kobe anymore.
So I don't know.
He's Shaq. Kyrie was Kobe. He ain't got Kobe anymore.
Yeah.
Personally, Do I hope it happens they lose in the first round? Oh, hell yes, I do. I want to see it happen. I want to see them get knocked out of the playoffs.
Is that just because do you want LeBron to lose, or are you just not a Cavs fan?
Neither so much. I just want the spotlight to go to other people. Because all they're going to do if the Cavs are there is talk about, oh, this is LeBron, this is LeBron, this is LeBron. There's a ton of other good players out there that don't get the attention they deserve.
Such as?
How about one in this series that's put the Pacers on his back in the Oladipo?
Anybody else?
I think they've gotten it. I think they've gotten attention this year because they've had the best record in the league, but not so much Harden, but Clint Capella, man. He's a nice ball player.
That's fair. That's a fair statement.
Yeah, he's a nice ball player. I'd love to see the Sixers make a run because they've got talent up and down that roster.
Sixers are dangerous.
They've got talent up and down that roster, and they're young.
I forget where I saw the tweet yesterday, but saying how incredible would it be if LeBron decides to go to Philly? Everybody's talking about Los Angeles and New York, and what if he decides to go to Philly because there's already a stable built there where he can come in and, I mean, you add LeBron James to that mix, and
Then
anytime a young team goes, anytime a young team goes and makes a little noise, it's always about LeBron. See, yep. Eric's right. It's always about LeBron.
As it should be. I mean, we always have the LeBron versus Michael Jordan, conversation. The reality is this. If Michael Jordan was in the shoes of LeBron, don't you think Michael Jordan would be doing the exact same thing? He's a businessman. He's a businessman first and foremost.
Oh, I'm with you. No, I get it. I totally get it.
So I think it's one of the biggest things we always get is, LeBron left. LeBron left. So did Jordan. Did we forget that Jordan played for the Washington Wizards? And I think on this day, I saw a tweet this day, so many years ago, this was his last game as a Wizard in the NBA. So
I think he'd even like to forget he played for the Wizards. I think he'd even like to forget that at points.
But in reality is what? I mean, I'm sure there's many people out there that, athletes, people in general that feel like they made a wrong step. I mean, you look at Joe Montana playing for the Chiefs. I mean, you can go on and on and on and on about, players that, played for a team past their prime and just because they needed another paycheck or they felt like they were better than they were. And reality is this, LeBron actually is. There's so many people that wish that he left Miami and came back to Cleveland and stubbed his toe and that was the end of LeBron James. But reality is, I would venture to say that he's better than he's ever been.
Oh, he's a man among boys, for sure. But at the end of the day, there's still 9 other guys on that floor, and the 4 guys with him's got to do something to help LeBron along. Like Eric said, he needs that wingman that's going to take some of the load off his shoulders for the Cavs to be successful. I don't think the Cavs will lose this series. It might go, the distance, but they won't lose the series.
That's exactly my next question. So you're saying the Cavs win series against the Pacers?
I do. Yeah. I still, to this, even after an home opening loss in the playoffs, I really truly believe it's still going to be the Cavs in the NBA Finals out of the East.
And who do you have in the West?
That's tough, man. I mean, it depends on the health of Curry. If Curry can get back healthy, I don't think Houston can run through Golden State. But if it's one of the two, it's Golden State or Houston. And if somebody does knock off the Cavs in the East, it's going to be Philadelphia, and that'll be a story that the media will love to get behind.
Oh yeah,
but that won't happen till the finals.
Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes, that won't happen till then.
Right.
So they win this series, they'll play Toronto.
So who do you have in the Cavs-Pacers series? Are you taking the Cavs with your money, or are you taking the Pacers?
I'm taking the Pacers. I do not like Cleveland. I do not like Cleveland's team. I don't think there's enough scoring on it around LeBron.
Now, are you taking your that's your money or your heart?
My money and my heart. I don't think they play well. I don't think they play well together. And out of the West, I got Golden State because I don't see anybody even without Curry beating them 4 times. I don't see it. Plus, you got to remember, Houston's coached by Mike D'Antoni, so they're going to blow it.
Oh, jeez.
Because he's not built for playoff basketball because he's never won anything anywhere he's been. Probably should have once or twice, but he hasn't. They should have won a championship when he was in Phoenix. They were the best team in the league. Couldn't do it in the playoffs. Too high tempo. Didn't know how to slow it down.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Tyronn Lue, one of the worst coaches in all of basketball, in my personal opinion.
You mean LeBron James? LeBron James?
No, Tyronn Lue. He is the worst coach.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's who the head coach of the Cavs is. It's LeBron James.
LeBron. So hang on. I see where you're at. Stay with me. LeBron is the guy, right? He runs everything. Everybody knows that. What I'm saying is Tyronn Lue is the worst coach in the NBA, and he's the biggest pushover because he let that happen. So anywhere he goes from the rest of time, he's going to be a pushover because everybody – and this isn't just a inside the NBA thing. This is the whole world knows that you are like stepdad, right? So you got to sit there and watch daddy beat you up every single night, and you got to sit there and take it because that's your meal ticket, right? Because nobody else is going to be picking you up. And Tyronn Lue is the coach for one sole reason, and that's just to stay the hell out of LeBron James's way and let him run this team.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, what are you gonna do? Tell LeBron no, you don't have a job anymore. David Black did that. You don't have a job.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. What happens if LeBron leaves and you're still stuck with Tyronn Lue?
He'll get the Mike Brown treatment when this is all finished. He will be gone shortly thereafter.
Interesting. So you have the Pacers. Pease has the Cavs. I'll take the Cavs as well. I like the Cavs to make a run at it. I think that this is all part of the DVD that'll be out in about 2 months where the Cavs have to overcome some adversity and they end up winning another championship. And LeBron James either goes along his merry way or he buys the team in Cleveland or something along those lines. So we will never, ever be rid of LeBron James in any which way because he has become a businessman first and a basketball player second. And think how scary that is he's still the best basketball player in the world. And in my opinion,
do you think he's the MVP this year?
Hands down.
I don't.
Yeah, numbers don't lie. He's the MVP.
I don't think he is.
Why?
Because I think there's about 2 or 3 more people that have a more legitimate claim to the MVP.
Name them.
Russell Westbrook. Anybody that averages a triple-double. James Harden for what he's done. And I think the MVP is Anthony Davis because without him, New Orleans probably wins 20 games.
And how many games did the Cavs win without LeBron James?
Bingo. There it is.
Probably less than that.
Exactly.
But I think there's actually talent in New Orleans. I think they still win 20 games because they're in the West. They're as bad as the Suns. Anthony Davis is the man.
When he's healthy, never can.
He's been healthy. He's been healthy all year. Boogie's the one that got hurt this year. He had to pick the team up on his shoulders.
I don't know. I'm not in the Anthony Davis camp. I don't think that. I don't think he's the guy. If anybody, they're going to go look at James Harden. But I even you put their numbers next to each other, and LeBron beats him at every single one of them, every single category. How can you deny this man the MVP just because, he's LeBron James? You're holding him to different standards than everybody else? That by itself means you're the MVP. Means you're the most valuable player.
That's crazy to think that, though, isn't it?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you're going to hold him to different standards than everybody else, and then you're going to name somebody else the MVP.
We're going to talk about that here in a couple minutes, how holding people to different standards, but it's true. We do hold them to different standards.
Are we going to talk about that with the Pirates?
No, we're going to talk about that with the Pens. We're going to talk about that.
Okay. Well, there's a perfect transition. Let's talk about those Penguins. They win big by a touchdown in Game 1, 7-0. They lose 5-1 in their own building, the big paint can, a couple days later. And then they come out yesterday and they throw a 5-1 right back in the face of Philadelphia. So talk to me about the standard we're holding the Penguins to and how it correlates to what we just talked about with LeBron.
Connor McDavid may be Jesus.
Whoa.
He ain't the best player in the world. Sidney Crosby's still the best hockey player in the world. He is still the best hockey player in the world. He's probably not going to win he's probably not going to win the Hart Trophy either.
And I don't think he cares. That's the difference. I don't think he gives two craps about it. I think he just wants to count his cups when it's all said and done.
His cups, his gold medals, everything else.
If the Pens win, listen, if the Pens win this year, and they're looking pretty damn good. Let me throw Game 2 out the window, obviously, but they're looking really, really good. When Matt Murray's on, he's on. And when this high-powered offense for Pittsburgh is rolling, they might be the best hockey team of all time. The way it's set up in the salary cap era, with the way hockey is played right now, there is not a team out there that I would take over the Pittsburgh Penguins.
If they three-peat, it's the best accomplishment in hockey history.
I would agree. And that gives Crosby and Malkin 4 cups.
I do not think they're going to three-peat.
Who's going to stop them? And you can't say you don't know. If you don't think they're going to three-peat,
I've got ideas, yes.
Well, an idea.
It ain't going to be the Capitals. I can tell you that right now. The Capitals might not even get out of the first round.
Yeah, they're having trouble. And you said it last week, I think. You said that the Capitals are going to have trouble with the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, but I didn't think they'd have goalie issues. They've got goalie issues right now. That's the one thing I didn't think they'd have. The Blue Jackets will give the Penguins problems because they've given them problems all year. They've given them problems all year, and the Bruins look good right now. The way they ended the season, the jury's still on Tampa. I think both those teams overall, the way they're built, I think they're both better than the Pens, the Bruins, and the Lightning. I think they're both better. I don't like their chances with them in a 7-game series, but anything can happen. I mean,
what I learned a long time, well, I guess not a long time ago, but about 10 years ago about hockey, when I really started to get interested in it, is that there is nothing in hockey, unlike any other sport, there's nothing in hockey that beats experience. An experience in the playoffs. And the experience that Sidney, Phil Kessel, Geno Malkin, those guys bring to the table and pass on, almost like, and I've met the brass for the Penguins. I've met the guys at the top all the way down to the guys at the bottom. And they're constantly,
they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
They're looking for people to educate and to make their organization better, not just their team, their organization better at every capacity, at every facet. And the biggest thing that the Pens have right now that's very successful for them is the fact that they're sharing it. And they are these first-year guys. You look at a guy like Connor Sherry, and even he, with one season under his belt, with the one cup, he's passing it on to the new guys. You look at Brassard coming in, and he's getting involved, and he understands their role guys. They understand their role, and they're going on. And I think that's why the Pittsburgh Penguins three-peat this year and look out next year, because they might even win next year. We look for all of these different figures to point at and say, oh, well, they played too much hockey this year. They're going to be tired next year, and they're going to have the hangover. We've said that for 3 years, and look at them now.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think that is going to become an issue at some point for them.
Yeah,
some point that will become an issue
in July when they're having their championship trophy.
It could be. It could also be in June in the finals. Who knows?
It could be. I think if they make it to the finals, I don't think the West is nearly as good and the Predators are not as dangerous as they were last year. I don't think that even the Golden Knights are as good as what I've heard on national television. Certainly not on ESPN because they don't cover
hockey anyway. So,
but watching the NHL Network, they're praising the Golden Knights for what they've already done, and that becomes a dangerous situation, don't you think?
Yeah, it does. But what they're doing is pretty historic right now. But they were also given the free keys too.
Right.
They had the best chance ever of anybody that was ever an expansion team to come in and make a run. They had the keys given to them.
Yep.
Now, as you say about the Predators, Johansson's the difference because he got hurt last year. And that's what hampered them in the finals last year was they didn't really have goal scoring last year. I mean, they were willing to get rid of they were willing to get rid of Neal through the expansion draft. I mean, they were willing to do it just because of money, but their goaltending's up there. I think the Pacific's a mess. If Vegas can come in and win it, that place is a mess.
It's gonna be interesting.
That place is a mess. Central's not a mess, even though Hellebuck got lit up last night. He got lit up like a Christmas tree. Those 18,000 people that showed up in Minnesota last night driving through 18 inches of snow with a full building, and he got lit up. They didn't even get there till Sunday afternoon.
Yeah,
they tried to fly in Saturday, but they got so much snow they had to fly back to Winnipeg.
Wow!
So they had to go through customs twice.
Jeez, that's interesting.
That's interesting. That's interesting if you ask me, but.
Nothing like playoff hockey. I think we can all agree to that. I mean, it's fun to watch. It's exciting to be. Like playoff basketball is good. I love playoff baseball, playoff football. I think playoff football might be one of the weakest of all of them, to be honest with you, unless it's the AFC NFC Championship. I think that's where the real Super Bowl champs are crowned normally. But playoff hockey to me is the top of the chart. So.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's violent. Corey Perry's taking runs at people once again. I mean, it's fantastic.
Let's move on to a little bit of baseball, boys. The Buccos are 11-4 and at the top of the NL Central. Did you see this coming?
Yes.
No.
I've been calling it. I called it so many times on the burrito. If you go back and you'll see that I'm a genius. It's all about this offense. I said it from the get-go. You look at this offense on paper, and they're 100% legitimate. 1 through 4 is solid, and everything behind them right now is falling into place, and they're 11-4, and they're 3 games ahead in their division. And it's not like it's, happening by happen chance. Polanco leads the league and runs batted in. Marte is absolutely on fire. He's got 2 triples this year, hitting the ball good. They're playing decent defense. I mean, it's just they're the 4th or the 3rd highest. Actually, I'm sorry, they're the 3rd highest offense in the major leagues right now. So I'm telling you, when you look at this team on paper, they are going to be a team that 1 through 4 is going to give pitchers, no matter how good or bad they are, fits. They're going to score runs. If the pitching holds up, the Pirates are going to be a very successful team this year. I said it many, many times on this show, and I'm sticking to it.
I love it. Squeaks.
No, I did not even think this would even come close because I didn't even think the pitching would hold. I didn't even think the pitching would hold up. But pitching's more than held up so far.
But they hasn't. It really hasn't. It's been the bullpen's big. Their biggest, I guess, knock on the Pirates right now is their bullpen. And here's the thing, guys. They're doing something about it. They're going out and getting people. This is a new Pirates organization where they're actually going out and trying to fill the holes the potholes that are in the road to success. This is incredible to me. This is why I'm buying the Pittsburgh Pirates, because they sat on their hands the last 5 years when they had this so-called window of opportunity because they had Andrew McCutchen, they had Garrett Cole. They don't want to spend money. They don't want to do this. And not that they're going out and spending a ton of money, but they're going to find guys that fill holes and fill the potholes, so to speak, in this road that they're trying to travel. And I'm very impressed. I was a doubter. I was one of those complainer guys that we talked about at the beginning of the show. I was disappointed in the Pirates, and here I am. My hat in my hand, and I say I apologize. Hats off to this Pirate organization. Now I'm going to say this, and they're going to lose 15 straight games, and I'm going to look like a genius. But reality is this: I think that maybe they learned something. Maybe it's a new generation of baseball where you don't have to spend billions of dollars in order to put a good product on the field. And there's an article out today that you guys can go and look up. Andrew McCutchen and Garrett Cole made this team worse.
Well, because Cole mailed it in the last 2 years. Have you seen what he's done in Houston?
Well, he's also the number 4 starter, so I don't want to get too high on Garrett Cole because
they have five number one. They have guys that were 5 number 1 starters at one point. Right. So it's not just that. You're
going up against. I mean, you think about it as a manager. That's your number 1 priority. If you can get 5 number 1 starters, or as I like to say, 4 number 1 starters and Chuck Morton.
He was a number 1 before. He was a number 1 in Atlanta.
And we feel really good about him, here in Pittsburgh. We saw what the electric stuff that he brought to the Steel City. He's not a number 1 starter. Maybe at one point in his life because he had to be, but he is not a number 1 starter now. Garrett Cole could be a legitimate number 1 starter now if he had to be on a bad team. He proved that last year. Reality is he is facing guys like Chuck Morton. He's facing guys like who's our number 4? You look at our number 4. Who is that? Is that Cole?
Yeah, I believe so.
You have a legitimate number 1 versus number 4, and yes, you're going to be in a lot more games. And Garrett Cole is going to be, and I think everybody saw this coming. His stats are going to be very padded this year because the Astros built an unbelievable starting rotation down in Houston.
Speaking of them, did you see that thing? Did you see that thing online from the Rangers play-by-play guy?
I didn't.
Just hammered Alex Bregman into the ground.
Nope.
Saying that he was a complete baby because he wears number 2 because he thought he should have been the number 1 pick in the draft.
Oh, jeez.
Well, if you go back, you look at Bregman, anything that he said around, Bregman's a jerk. But I like him as a ball player. I think he's a good ball player, but he's a jerk. I mean, he's the same guy last year that played for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic. Said he should, because he's Jewish, said he should have just played for Israel because he would have got at bats more than the 4 that he got in the tournament. So he didn't even care if he won the tournament. He just wanted at bats.
It all goes back to coaching.
That's something else.
All right, guys, as we usually close out our show, it is episode 40, so we will hang the number 40 jersey into the rafters, and let's talk with Mr. Squeaky Bandito. Let's put the 40, and if it's a goalie, we're knocking down your building.
Thank you, because I wanted you to pick me first instead of last because of who I would have had to put in it. I probably would have gone over to this bucket in my room and thrown up in it. I'll take Gale Sayers.
Gale Sayers to the rafters in the Bandito building, and Mr. Pease.
Well, that was mine. Was Gale Sayers.
There's not many.
I had a much better intro for him. I mean, the Kansas Comet, for crying out loud.
There
you got to give him something better than what you did. So, for me it's Gale Sayers too. I mean, I hate to jump on the train, but that's who I looked up this morning and read about. And this guy, he had a short span of time in the NFL and averaged 5 yards a carry. In his short NFL career. He's the youngest Hall of Famer of all time, and he is the Kansas Comet, Gale Sayers. So, yeah, there's nobody else that I'd want to put in there besides Gale Sayers. So unfortunately, Eric, I got to pick the same thing as you did.
Yeah, there's not many here. So.
Oh, there is. There's one man. I'm actually going to hang an amateur as well because my favorite player growing up as a Bulldog was Mr. Andy Pink, number 40 for the East Palestine Bulldogs. So he goes up first. And I still have his jersey to this day. But from the professional ranks, number 40 is to me, I liked him. I thought he was an awesome basketball player, but I was also a huge fan of Albert Bell whenever I was a kid. So I just liked the attitude. And nobody personified the attitude in the NBA like the Rain Man, Mr. Sean Kemp, who played for Seattle. Then he played for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, man, there was nothing better for me than the Rain Man. So he was the overall 17th overall pick by the Seattle Supersonics, who I believe one day will be back. And then he went on to the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Portland Trailblazers, and finished his career with the Orlando Magic. But the Rain Man going to the rafters in the Yoakley Dome.
Sean Kemp.
I love it.
Sean Kemp had sweet shoes at one time. I can't remember what
yes,
they
he
looked
did.
like. But I remember,
they were Reeboks.
Yeah,
they were
Sean Kemp's
Reeboks. I
were
remember
hot.
them.
They were hot back in the day.
Were they the swirly ones?
Yeah, I think they were.
They had one swirly ones, but ones had like lines going up and down vertical through them. Those were the ones that he's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, almost everyone had those.
I didn't.
I wanted them. Parents couldn't afford them.
Thanks, Squeaks. I got to go to counseling.
Why is that?
Because we weren't able to afford the Sean Kemp shoes that I wanted so bad. And
I wasn't able to afford Jordans either, so.
Well, that does it for episode 40 of the Breakfast Burrito. Boys, any final thoughts?
No. None at all.
Nice.
I was right.
You were right.
That was it. I was right.
Squeaks?
He was right.
All right, everybody. It's Monday. It's a great day.
Make it yours.